Hey everyone, Edward O'Daniel here with the veteranlandlord.com. Today's training we're going to talk about is team members, the landlord's team members. What do you need as a landlord to have on your team to be able to get all the things that you need to have done and accomplished as a landlord? So we're going to go ahead and dive into this and start talking a little bit. Let me switch my screen over here and move over to my other screen. So here are just a list of some of the basic contractors and team members that you're going to need. Once you become a landlord, you are going to have to reach out in your local area to see and find these particular type of contractors, establish a relationship, build rapport with them before you need them. This is very important. You want to make sure you interview them, you identify who they are, that you have a relationship already so that when you call on them, that they're willing to go out and do work with you without having to get all the logistic stuff done in the beginning. So you want to make sure like you have their name, you have all their information, you know how much they're going to charge you, you know all of that kind of good stuff before you have them go out to your property. So number one, by far, the best team member you're going to have is a general contractor or handyman. This is probably going to be honest, 75 to 80% of all the work that you're going to need to have done on your property is going to be in one of these two type of team members. Handyman, general contractor, depends upon what area you live in and so forth, but this type of person is going to be able to handle your make readies, most carpentry, most basic electric work, most basic plumbing work that needs to be done. It's going to be handled all by your handyman. They can do basic gutter work, they can do outside work, they can do a lot of the stuff that you will need, but there are times where you're going to need specialists. So outside of the general contractor or handyman, which once you find a good contractor or handyman, I would advise you to build rapport with that person beyond just calling them to have work done with them, because they can be a great lead source for other contractors that are relatively inexpensive, and that can get on your team member list as well. So get a referral from your handyman or general contractor regarding some of these other people, and then they're going to be a great source of a great source to pull from. So the next one I'm going to have you do is electrical contractor. So as a landlord, you're going to run across some form of an electrical problem that your general contractor handyman just is not capable of handling. So it could be maybe they are trying to test for an electronic problem. Maybe you have a short somewhere, or maybe you need specialized electronic equipment that only your electrician would be able to have. So general contractors really wouldn't have specialized equipment like that to track down problems or to even potentially pull permits. So if you do need in your area to pull a permit, your general contractor most likely will not be able to be a good source. You will have to bring an electrician in. They will have to be licensed in the area that you're working in, and then you will have to, of course, pay them. And typically they're going to cost a little bit more than your general contractor will because of their specialty. But electrician is one of those where you're going to need to know who to call on this one. They can be very helpful and useful for just performing just basic electronic functions. Next is going to be your plumbing contractor. Again, very similar to your electrical. If you do have any kind of plumbing related issues that do require a permit, you will need to have a plumber be able to pull that. Now, what I've seen in the past is how contractors will do the work under somebody else's license. Sometimes in some areas they may not be legal, but I know in other parts of the country, the master plumber, if that will, the person who has the license, will actually have other people perform the work for them, and then they'll just go check, verify everything is good before they do a call for the permit and the inspection for that permit. So that can be a little bit cheaper, but if you hire a master plumber, that's going to cost you a good amount per hour to bring that person in. So only when you need a permit or something specialty do you want to bring these people in. Most of the time, your general contractor or handyman will be able to handle it. So next one we're going to have is number 4 on the list is an HVAC contractor. So this is your heating, cooling contractor. So depending upon where you're at, you may have furnaces and air conditioners. You may live in an area where they don't have air conditioners. You just might need a furnace. You might have boilers systems, boiler and radiated heat in your particular area. You could be dealing with fuel instead of gas so you get the point. So you would need to find the HVAC contractor that's specific for your area, that can handle the different types of equipment that you currently have in your rental properties. So have those on call because those are going to be a good reference point in case you need to get a hold of them. I know boilers, for instance, require yearly maintenance to have them flushed, things like that. Those are going to be good to have somebody call that knows what they're doing to go over and get it, to check on it, as well as you're going to need to maintain those. So you're going to need to, and I'm just saying for boilers, you're going to need to refill the water and things like that in some of the older systems. So if you have newer HVAC furnaces, you will need somebody that can check those out when those stop working as well. So very key is the HVAC, that's your heating and cooling person. So extremely important to have that particular person on your team as well. Next one's going to just be a drain cleaner. Now, as a landlord, you never want to think about it, but people use water. That water in turn has to go somewhere, which generally goes out to um, typically if you have a public sewer, that's one form of waste. Other places, there's septic systems and septic tanks. So this drain cleaner might also be the person that handles your septic system if you have a septic system. But if you do have a drain line and you do have a sewer, those lines often get clogged. Your tenants, believe it or not, may actually flush things that they're not supposed to. They could flush baby wipes, they could flush diapers, they could flush tampons or feminine hygiene products, things like that that they're not supposed to down the toilet, and then those things get caught in the sewer line from any number of things, from pipes being misaligned to tree roots growing through there to anything. So you will need to have a drain cleaner, and those typically are specialized people as well. Now, your plumber may be able to do work like that, but typically there are other companies out there specifically focused for drain cleaning that will be much more inexpensive to hire than trying to get your plumber to do that kind of work because your plumber is going to charge you for that. Keep in mind, the plumber is going to be a licensed person, and the drain cleaner is not. That person just knows how to use a snake to clean out your drain line and to get all the water flowing again. But that is another critical piece because when you have a sewer backup or a septic tank, um, your leach field backs up, you may very well need somebody out there as soon as possible to get that handled. Next is going to just be a house cleaner. This is typically just anybody in your area. The landlords themselves may end up going in and doing some cleaning to try to save some money. But if you're the kind of person that just wants to have everything outsourced, a house cleaner is a good person to have. So if somebody moves out and you want to get the unit prepped, once all the work has been done by the general contractor or handyman, you want to have the house cleaner come in, clean up the house after the contractor, depending on what they've done, clean the floors, clean the appliances, clean some of the windows maybe. Don't know how detailed you want to do. Clean all the bathrooms, the toilets, and the showers and things like that, and make it ready for the next tenant to come in. So that's a good one to have on your team. You would also need to have some form of a roofer. Now, hopefully you don't have to replace your roofs too often, depending upon where you're at. Some people get hailstorms. Other ones have tornadoes and things like that blow the roofs off. Things, but you should have a roofer, period, even though you're probably not going to use that person very much because you will need somebody that can go up and do periodic repairs because sometimes you do get heavy windstorms, and depending on how old your roof is, it might blow some shingles off. It might do some other damage, but if your general contractor can't handle something like that, you may very well want to reach out to a roofer, somebody that can go out and look and get those items repaired. So that's another one that you may want to look at. The next one, you may not think about it, but it's actually an attorney. Because as a landlord, you have to understand that you are going to be opened up to legal liabilities. You could potentially be sued. Now, I know people don't like to think about that, but you may very well get sued at some particular point in time. So an attorney is always good to have somebody on your team to be able to ask questions, to bounce questions off of. Also, one of the main benefits that I've noticed on this is that if you ever have a problem with a tenant, for instance, maybe you have a tenant that's not paying or a tenant that's not following the lease, they're not following some of the rules in the lease. Sending them a letter from the landlord is one thing. They may just look at your letter and go, who cares about that? It's just a landlord. I'm not going to too much care about it. However, whenever they get a letter from a law firm that has a legal, at the top of the heading has a legal header on that particular paper, and it's signed by an attorney saying that if these items aren't things, legal action can result if you do not correct these actions. That right there tends to get people motivated a little bit faster than a letter from you. So that's also very helpful if you have an attorney to be able to send out letters like that because, again, they can get people moving where maybe your letters will not. So it's always good to have an attorney there that knows your business, that knows things, that can make recommendations for you These same attorney would be the person that reviews all of your legal documents, so your lease, any addendums, any of your other notices that you post. This is what your attorney can review to make sure they're up to your state standards. Some states may require certain verbiage, if that makes sense, to be included in the notices or letters. Other ones you might need to change some things, but your attorney's going to be the one to be able to handle that for you and be able to make those recommendations. Next, maybe not so much depending on where you live. It's just a masonry person. This is a this is truly a specialized person if you live in a place that has a lot of brick buildings, some of the older buildings that were built with brick, or if you deal with a lot of houses that have fireplaces, the little extended chimneys and fireplaces that go up. Oftentimes these things become a problem, so the mortar becomes loose, the cap gets cracked, or the caulking comes out, and you start having leaking problems inside of your unit from this. Having a masonry person is something very nice to have that you may just want to look at. Again, you might get a reference from your general contractor or handyman for somebody like this, but if you live in a place that has a lot of brick, that has fireplaces and things like that, definitely suggest you just finding a good reference for a masonry person to at least know who to call in case you need that. So that was it. This training is going to be pretty short. I just wanted to kind of give you some quick team members. If you're a new landlord and you're trying to build your team, this is the kind of team that you want to be able to build. That's going to make it very easy for you to run and manage your properties. So anytime you need somebody, you just simply go down your list. And of course, all of these contractors, you may very well want to have more than one, if at all possible. So one contractor handyman may be busy. They may not be able to get to your job or your work. So you might have to go to your backup or your secondary person. So it's always good to have multiple, but having these these team members is a must on this one. So follow this, get all the team members, and you'll find out that whenever you have a problem, you just simply go down your list, pick the team member you need to call, give them a call, and dispatch them. Everything works very well with that, and just keep that list handy, keep it electronic on your computer. Guys, that's all I have for you right now. Edward O'Daniel with theveteranlandlord.com. If you like this video, please click the subscribe button, click the like button, and thank you so much.